talk about how we define something like failure currently in our schools, and to give you a little bit of perspective about how legislation is playing out. This particular legislation can play out in our schools. Earlier today, we had an EOC representative that gave us a third grade standard, something to the effect of students need to count numerically or something like that. If y'all recall that, to 1,000 is what it was. But I'd like to give you another fourth grade standard and then talk to you about how we assess this fourth grade standard. So the current fourth grade standard as written for our fourth grade teachers is to critique how a speaker addresses content and uses craft techniques that stylistically and structurally inform, engage, and impact audience and convey messages. So those are the types of standards that are being assessed in our schools. Now let me read you under the same category, the 12th grade standard, 9 through 12. Critique how a speaker addresses content and uses craft techniques that stylistically and structurally inform, engage, and impact audiences and convey messages. It's the exact same standard for a fourth grader as we have for a 12th grader. So what we then do in these schools is we establish with these standardized tests, I don't believe as much of a fear of a takeover as we fear how our failure is going to be measured. So I feel like the primary issue of the day here has been, and you said this yourself, what do we do if a school is failing? And I would answer that with another question as, how are we going to then define failing? What are we using to determine this? So that's kind of the question that I feel like truthfully needs to be answered with this section of the legislation. So we know that ESSA requires states to test multiple subjects. We know that, and I'm an advocate for those flexibility waivers, as Steve mentioned. Primarily, what our state does, you've heard this morning, is we test through SC Ready and through the end of course examination program. These assessments cost the state millions of dollars. EOCEP is something to the tune of $30 million. And what's really unfortunate about these tests when we're talking about accountability and how that's measured in our schools is that they offer no true diagnostic information to teachers, and they offer us no information that can inform our instructional practices within the classroom. So our students take a test, and they get a score, and the teachers get the score. We are not told what standards they didn't do well on. We are not told what portions of the test can better inform our instruction for the following years so that we can truthfully improve our student outcomes. So now our students have taken these tests, and they've been, we've determined that a school is failing based on a test that is really never seen by educators and can't inform our instruction in any way. And we're going to evaluate that school. We're going to create a transformation school or a transformation district, which would hypothetically, as Superintendent Spearman said, in 2 to 3 years, or maybe 3 to 5, or maybe more, would offer some solution to the problem. The state report card, as it is, if you look at elementary, 3rd through 8th grade roughly, and then 9th through 12th grade. 3rd through 8th grade, 90% of the state report card is determined by scores on assessments. So you saw those numbers earlier. I didn't know if you realized that adds up to about 90% for elementary students. So we're going to determine if that school is failing based on 90% standardized test scores that, again, can't inform instruction. And for high schools, it's upwards of 95%. Those tests that can't inform instruction, that offer us no true data points, and that we cannot get to change our instructional practices to improve student outcomes, are tests like the EOC, ELA, math, social studies, science, ACT, SAT, work keys, or SC Ready to Work, or whatever the test is called now. And then 5% is on the school quality. So we only care 5% about the environment that our students are in and the people that they're interacting with, whereas 95% is determined by a score. So truthfully, what then does this all mean as I kind of close this up? To me, the issue of accountability, it's truthfully, it's a very important issue, and I'm happy to address that. But I think what the bill fails to address is how we're measuring accountability, how we're going to measure failure in the state of South Carolina. And at this point, it's completely inequitable the way it's proposed in this legislation. We only care about the other things when the school is already defined as failing in standardized tests, which is truthfully unfortunate because those are all of the things that go